GCRDC and GPS 4593 are the three founders of this Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club. Meeting started in April. That was the 4th month. Today's the 10th month, so we've had 6 of these. This is number 6. Who's made all 6? 2. Who's made 5? 4. 3. 2. There we go. How about the first meeting? Oh, yes. Jordan?
I made it to the first meeting.
Yeah, you did. I didn't. I was gone. I was on vacation. So anyhow, first thing I'm going to do is we normally have a table out in the hall. And last month, even though I wasn't here, I did watch the video, and I know there was more than 7 people. So we're going to do the sign-in sheet, pass around, so everybody signs it. Even if you've been here before, I'll get you to sign it at the end, because you're going to be speaking very shortly. And I don't even have an intro. Is that terrible or what? Jordan, I don't have an intro. Hey, this is Sasha. She's our speaker tonight. She's with the Entrepreneur Fund. That's about the extent of what I know. I'm not going to claim to be a professional on the Entrepreneur Fund because we brought her in just for that. I will get her slideshow up. You have a mouse here to click. Is that good?
That's perfect.
Okay, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. I am very excited to be here tonight. I am a colleague of Sandy Boyd, and I think the world of her, and I'm very excited that she was able to connect and have us be part of the meeting today. And so I want to start off with just talking a little bit about the Entrepreneur Fund. And before I do that, did everyone get a folder? Okay, we're going to be working through some of the handouts during the presentation today. On the left side is more information about the Entrepreneur Fund. We are an economic development organization, and we have been around for over 30 years now, providing business lending, funding, and strategic planning. And so I came to the Entrepreneur Fund back in May of 2017, and I was the Women's Business Alliance Director up in our northern counties. So I work out of the Duluth office. And within a few months of my position, I started facilitating and implementing EOS with some of our current clients, mostly up in the northern counties of Minnesota. And this past February, I transitioned my role and am solely the EOS implementer for the Entrepreneur Fund, and work with a number of our clients and leadership teams through the EOS process. So we at the Entrepreneur Fund, our mission is to really create thriving businesses and communities, and we do that through business financing and services, strategic services, to really achieve growth. On your folder on the left-hand side, it does talk more about our impact. This is our impact report for 2018. And just to highlight a couple of things here quickly, is we last year served over 1,000 clients throughout our region. We have 814 business owners access consulting services, and we closed 210 loans to either startup businesses, to stabilize, or to grow and expand. We are a gap financer, and so we work and partner a lot with banks, other economic development organizations. We're really here as a partner. So we really enjoy that piece. So that's some information. There's more information on the left side of your folder, really kind of dives into more of our services at the Entrepreneur Fund, highlighting a business success story that we partnered with. And so, but what we're really going to focus on this evening is one of our service that we provide is that EOS. And so we at the Entrepreneur Fund, about 3 years ago, heard about EOS, read the book Traction. Our CEO, Sean Wellnitz, really thought that this was a great operating system and really wanted to try to self-implement. And a few months into it, the leadership team at that time really saw that it can be difficult to self-implement yourself as you're trying to be the facilitator and participant within meetings. So they interviewed a few EOS implementers and hired someone out of the cities to facilitate us through that process. And to this day, we still have that same facilitator come and run our quarterly meetings and annual meetings as well. So because of that and because of the strategic services piece that we provide at the Entrepreneur Fund, we thought we needed to expand this to our clients as well, because we saw, firsthand just the changes that it was making within our organization. And so with that, that's really how we got started, and now have myself on staff as an implementer. So the Entrepreneur Operating System is really, it provides that framework for managing growth. Right? And it's allowing the business owner and leaders to prioritize what's important and to provide that focus. It's creating that path for achieving goals, strengthen the business culture. You're developing that plan for the future. And it's not a flavor of the month, it is a proven process. And obviously we've been running on it for 3 years, and like I said, we have just seen tremendous growth. We've hired 5 new people in the last year, not because of turnover, but just because of growth, and we needed to add jobs. So, all right, jumping in. I want to take a look, and you have in your folder the EOS model here. So, my goal tonight is to really give an overview of EOS, but I want to really focus in, and we will towards the end here, of three tools that you can walk away with and really implement within your business or within your organization and start using. Okay, so we're going to be doing an overview of the EOS model, and that is focusing on the 6 key components of your business. It's the vision, it's the 8 questions and shared by all, it's the people component, and having the right people in the right seats, the data piece, that's your scorecard and measurables you're looking at, the issues, dealing with issues, solving issues, and not just band-aids. Your processes, are they documented, followed by all, and then really, getting that traction, having those weekly meetings and focusing on priorities. So what I want to do is just dive in a little bit briefly and talk about vision. And in your folder, you also have one tool that we use with this is the Vision Traction Organizer. So this is a document that really outlines, and you go through, work through, and answer these 8 questions for your business. You're identifying your core values. Okay, this is really the heart of your business. This is really what you stand for. This is going to attract people to your business, employees and clients or customers. Your core focus, this is what you do and why. Why are you in existence? Okay? You're identifying that 10-year target, that big goal. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Okay? And we're keeping it pretty general there. We're answering and diving in and looking at the marketing strategy. Who's your bread and butter client or customer, and how are you attracting them to you? We're looking at the 3-year picture, so identifying that future date. Is there a revenue goal with that? Is there, what's your profit? What other measurables? Is it a certain amount of employees in 3 years that you would like, a certain amount of clients, all of those things. And you're developing that picture of what it looks like within your business. Are you opening up a second location at that time? Are you transitioning out of the business? Or do you want to sell it? All of those types of things. Okay? The second page here hones down some in this, and we're looking at your 1-year plan. Okay, so all of your 1-year plan should be driving to really set yourself up for your 3-year plan. So your 1-year plan again, and you're setting that future date, your revenue, your profit, other measurables you're looking at, And then we identify 3 to 7 very specific goals that you want to achieve within that year. Okay, so maybe you want to lower your debt service, by X amount. You want to look at and explore an opportunity, or like I said, open another office, or you've been doing the bookkeeping in-house, you need to outsource it, or you need to hire that HR person, that type of thing. And then we'll jump in and talk more about rocks. But those are really, and what those mean, or what rock really means, about those 90 priorities and what you're focusing on every 90 days within the calendar year that is driving you to make sure that you complete and accomplish your year-end goals here. And then we also have that issues list. And we all have issues. So the issues list is really pulling it out of your head and putting them down, okay? And so and like I said, it's really working on solving those issues for good. So this is the vision traction organizer that gets developed and put together, which is in your, which identifies and works with the vision component there of the model. The next piece is people. And through the EOS process, you really start developing question.
I want to go back to
Sorry.
even on this, where the rocks, they had up the 7 there.
Yeah.
My experience is if you get them to focus on 1 or 2 per quarter is more than the 7. Is that your experience?
Yes. So, a lot of times we're working with leadership teams of 3 or 4. And so each person that's walking out of the room has a focus of maybe 1 or 2 rocks for the company. Yep, definitely. Great question. Any other questions before I move on? Thank you. Good. Okay, so when we jump in and really focus on the people component there, we're first taking a look at what's the right structure for your business and developing that accountability chart, and who's going to be in charge of the accounting piece or finance box. Who's going to be accountable for your sales, okay? And who's going to be accountable for marketing and your operations. So you have all these pieces to your business, and you might be wearing all the hats at this time, but it's really identifying, okay, this is an issue, I'm doing too much, what do I need to delegate and move on, okay? Yeah?
I'm sorry, Sasha, you might have mentioned this earlier. How many people in the company is best? I mean, is this for a new company or?
No, typically, like our target, usually with smaller companies, newer companies, you can use these tools and really start to build your business. We're working with, through the Entrepreneur Fund, usually revenue-wise is about $1 million or more, and have a leadership team of at least 2. But this is definitely, and that's why my goal was to really identify a few tools that you could easily self-implement within your organization or business. But that's kind of our target market of when people start to hire an outside facilitator. Yeah, great question. Good. So when we're looking at that, really identifying the right people, we want to make sure that you have the right people doing the right things, that they get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it. So this even talks about people that you're hiring as consultants or outside, folks that are doing your bookkeeping or other things. They still need to fit within your culture and really understand your business, or they're not going to help you propel. So really figuring out, do they get it? Do they get what you need for your business if you're hiring them? Do they want to? Do they want the job? Do they really want the work? And do they have the capacity to do it? Capacity, do they have the intelligence, but also do they have the time to do what you need? Yep.
And let me go back and see if you agree with this also.
Yeah.
So we talked about the vision. So for example, if one of your values is teamwork,
Yep.
during the interview, that should be a question that says, do you like to work alone or part of a team?
Absolutely.
I like to work alone. The interview's pretty much over because
Yep.
you're not going to fit our culture. So,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. And over time, that can change. If you're at a certain level within your organization and an employee comes in, they may fit really well, but 2 years down the road, as things change, then, you know, and as you grow, that person maybe didn't grow with the company. And so now it's time to evaluate again. Okay, is this person the right person? Are they doing the right things? And, you know, do they have the capacity? So it's always evaluating those things. Good, any other questions? Great. Now, data. So this is really developing and looking at the scorecard, and there is a scorecard in your folder as well. And this, we're going to be coming back to this as well. So we're going to just briefly talk now about the data. This is really a 13-week looking forward about keeping track of some measurables within your business. And we really want to see on a weekly basis if things are getting met. If you have a goal, a revenue goal by the end of the year, you want to be at $750,000, let's say, we want to make sure that each week you're making progress to that goal. We don't want to wait till the end of the quarter to get a profit and loss statement, or, you know, at the end of the year, you know, you're looking at your numbers. We want to see on a weekly basis, what are you bringing in, you know, revenue-wise, or other things that are important to your business and organization. So that's what the data piece is there, and the measurables with that. Because what we see is that what gets measured is accountable and gets done. Okay? Any questions on that? But like I said, we're going to come back to this tool as well at the end here. Okay? Good. All right. The next component here that we're going to look at are issues. And this is what I said, you know, we all have personal issues and we all have business issues or things. And so really working through the EOS process is pulling those issues and things that bug you, that tick you off during the day, or things that, you know, or ideas you have, or, you know, opportunities that are out there that maybe you can't do anything about today, but you would love to eventually, like, explore that. Those are all issues and things that we want to pull out and get down on paper. Because if we don't want to lose out on those, and we eventually want to deal with them. It could be people issues, it could be processes, it could be many different things. And so with the issues, you're taking time on a weekly basis to really identify, discuss, and solve issues. And so we really work down to really figuring out what is the core issue here. Because there are so many times, there are so many symptoms of really what a core issue is. So really taking that time to do that. And so you're not just putting the Band-Aid over it. You know, someone's not running up to you with the same issue week after week, and you're just, you know, trying to put out fires constantly. Okay? The next component is the process. And so this is really that, you know, work on getting all of your processes documented and followed by all. Okay, so this is, you really want to examine the core processes of your business so that, you know, anyone can step in to something if a role needs to be filled or something needs to be done, and you have it. The 20% that takes care of your 80%, what that means is that it's documented at a high level, so I may get a piece of paper and I have to step in and do something for someone, and I can figure out pretty much and get it about 80% complete at least by following this process. Okay, this is also what allows your business to become scalable and brings more value to your business as well, having these in place. And it's that, you know, talking about being that well-oiled machine. It's like people, no matter who's doing it, it's done the same way. You have that consistency. Doesn't matter if I go to Duluth and order cowboy pizza from Papa Murphy's or come down here. I know what I'm going to get. It's the same. It's well-oiled machine. The last piece here is the traction, and that's where we talk about really vision. In EOS, we talk about vision without traction is hallucination. Okay, you're not, you know, so it's lovely to think about all these things, but we have to make sure that we actually execute on this. So we talk about and implement. It really focused on rocks, weekly meetings, and this is really where we see where that rubber meets the road piece of this. So what I want to look at in your folder here also is the level 10 meeting, we call it. So we set up and we were working with clients, and this is one tool that I've worked with many people just implementing. They are solo entrepreneurs, up to large companies that can really start implementing this weekly meeting. Okay, so it's really looking at multiple things here, but what we want to do is really make sure that they're consistent, so that this meeting, they're starting on time, they're ending on time. If you're going to meet with your leadership team or a management team for an hour on Wednesday mornings at 9, they start on time, they end on time, they have a clear agenda, which is in your folder here. There's high accountability because you're looking at the scorecard, you're looking at numbers in this meeting. They're open and honest, and the goal, the reason why they're called level 10 is that at the end of each meeting, it's rated on a scale of 1 to 10. And so everybody goes around and says, oh, I give it an 8, I give it a 9, that sort of thing. And our goal is to have it effective meetings so that we're solving issues and where everybody's moving away thinking, yes, I have my set of to-dos that I need to get done from this meeting. I know that I have X amount of work to do on my rock and those types of things. Okay? So let's just run through this sample agenda here and talk through this. So the first piece on here, and at the Entrepreneur Fund, my EOS team meeting is an hour every Monday at 9 o'clock. We come in, we meet, and we segue. So we talk about personal and professional best that's happened in the last week, and we also talk about what our expectation is for the meeting. So we're coming in and I'm saying, I've been having this X issue, it's on the issues list, and I really want to talk about it today, or spend some time diving into it. So everybody knows where everybody's head's at and what issues are important that week that need to get solved. Then we take a look and do a scorecard review quick. So this is not a time to sit and discuss the scorecard. It's just looking at the numbers and saying, yep, they're on track, off track, on track, off track. And any numbers that are off track in the scorecard typically end up down on your issues list at some point. Then we do the rock review as well, and we'll dive in and talk a little bit more about rocks here in a little bit. And then the customer and employee headlines. This is really just highlighting anything that that you've seen exceptional by an employee, or if there's a customer that you've been working with that maybe made the news, or different things that are happening there that you want to highlight or recognize and make sure other people on the team know about. And then the majority of and then you go through your to-do list. So your to-do list is just 7-day action items that came out of last week's meeting that are on there. And we want to just make sure that the to-do list is getting done each week as well. Okay? Then the majority of the week meeting at this IDS, that's the issues list part. That's where you identify, discuss, and solve issues. And you, as a group, decide, okay, yep, I want to talk about, this issue that we're having with Susan. And so as a team, you're setting up the issue, what you're experiencing with Susan, what's all going on, you discuss it, and you make some solutions to that. Usually when you're at this point in the issue solving, this is where a lot of the to-dos come out of, because it's like, okay, I need to make this phone call, I need to have this meeting with Susan now, or we need to do X, Y, Z. And so we'll put those items back on the to-do list to make sure that they get done for the next week. And we always put someone's name by it. So Ashley needs to make this phone call to this person, that sort of thing. Okay? So then you recap, to conclude the meeting, you recap the to-do list. I have 5 new things on the to-do list, and Tom is going to meet with Nancy and X, Y, Z. You run through that. We solved 3 issues today. Those came off the list. And then any cascading messages. Oh, we need to let the sales team know that we decided that we're increasing their budget to X amount, or whatever that might be. Okay? And then everybody rates the meeting at that. And then somebody's taking notes on this, right? Yeah, yep. So there's a few different ways people have used this. So, you know, a lot of our clients have like Google document, and someone within the meeting is just typing, and then it's, you know, posted and everybody can see it. There is another tool called Traction Tools. It's not affiliated with EOS Traction, but another company organization developed it. It's a web-based system, Traction Tools. You pay a monthly subscription of like $150, and it stores all of this information. Everybody can log on and go through the meeting and see it, and you can, you know, live update everything as well on that. So, yep, great. So what I want to take a look at here, real quick, a little bit again, is when you're going to the company scorecard piece. You know, these are critical measures that give a pulse of your business. So on your scorecard, and I owned and operated my own non-medical home care company for 8 years and sold it back in 2014. And I did not know about the Entrepreneur Fund, nor did I know about EOS and Traction. And so as I've been facilitating, I've been thinking, wow, my life would have been so different if I would have been taking these tools and actually like implementing this within my business, because I had like accounts receivable that I was, you know, looking 90 days out. I would get my reports and I would say, oh my goodness, I have all this money that's still out in receivables. I wasn't looking and did not have a scorecard on a weekly basis that I could was measuring and that sort of thing. So that's really our goal here, is that it can be historical or predictive. So it can be what revenue and things like that did you generate, and it can be, you know, your cash balance, your proposals. How many proposals have you sent out? And how much, you know, closed business. What do you have for accounts receivable still? So typically with the businesses that I'm working with, they have around 10 to 15 items that they're putting on their scorecard that they're measuring each week. And they have the who here. So someone within the organization is accountable for that number. So is it the sales manager that's accountable for how many proposals went out or how many sales calls, that type of thing. So that when you do get to the portion of the meeting agenda that's looking at scorecards and you see that numbers are off track, you're just not getting the proposals for like 3 weeks in a row, you haven't hit your goal. Well, okay, let's figure out the issue. Okay, and let's you know, start talking about this. Well, you might figure out that Tom, who's driving this number, proposals, keeps getting pulled into another department to help so-and-so with an issue that they're having. So he's not having the time to really focus on this. Well, that's actually the issue over here, so that's something that we need to focus on. So it's really unpacking those things and not waiting you know, until the end of the quarter or end of the year to really see where your business is at.
So one of the things, my experience, I don't know if yours is the same,
Yeah.
is you might start out with a scorecard and then you find some of those really aren't very helpful measuring.
Yep.
And other things you've overlooked need to get added to the scorecard.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. And this is a tool that definitely should always be reviewed, because you might initially put numbers on here that eventually down the road, maybe a year later, you've developed a new, you know, a sales department. Well, some of those numbers need to be taken off and given to the sales department, where you as a leadership team, you know, might be looking at different numbers at that point. Yeah.
And then the other comment I have is, and I don't know if you agree with this, so let's say a very common one is sales numbers.
Yep.
What do we
Yep.
want the sales numbers?
Yep.
But you could look at a week and it was a good week, but then you didn't realize the first 2 weeks were bad, and so for the month you're still behind.
Yep.
And then you may have to look, in that case, even year to date, so that,
Mm-hmm.
so, okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's not
Definitely.
just for the week.
No,
sometimes.
right, and that's why with the scorecard, we have a 13-week rolling scorecard, so that you're always, so you're seeing each week, you're adding the next, and you're seeing, you know, the previous 13 weeks with it. Yep, and I have a lot of businesses as well that do the year-to-date comparison from from previous year. Or we set goals, we want to be 10% ahead of last year. So we're measuring that and making sure that we're consistently on that track. Yep. Good. So, then moving on to the rock review, and in here we have a Smart Rock Planner. We're going to talk about this, but I want to read out of the book Traction, and this is really what EOS is based on, this book Traction that Jimbo Wickman wrote, of why they're called rocks. So, this is from Stephen Covey's book, First Things First. Picture a glass cylinder set on a table. Next to the cylinder are rocks, gravel, sand, and a glass of water. Imagine the glass cylinder as all of the time you have in a day. The rocks are your main priorities. The gravel represents your day-to-day responsibilities. The sand represents interruptions. And the water is everything else you get hit with during your workday. If you, as most people do, pour the water in first, the sand in second, the gravel in third, and the rocks last, what happens? Those big priorities don't fit inside the glass cylinder. That's your typical day. What happens if you do the reverse? You work on the big stuff first. You put the rocks in. Next comes the day-to-day responsibilities. Then add the gravel, then dump in the sand, all of those interruptions, finally pour the water in. Everything fits in the cylinder perfectly. Everything fits into your day perfectly. The bottom line is that you need to work on the biggest priorities, your rocks first. Everything else will fall into place. Okay, so you need to really, well, this is really figuring out and carving out times to really focus on those priorities, those rocks, and we set rocks for 90 days. Okay, so we talk about, okay, I have, let's say, a goal for the end of the year to add 20 active clients to my portfolio. Okay, so I want to hit that 20 number. Now I'm going to break that down. Okay, so this first, let's say it's the first quarter of 2020. I'm going to focus. I'm going to make a rock and focus on really networking within my current clientele. Okay, so to see if I can have them help me generate new leads and whatnot. So what I would do is take this Smart Rock Planner, and that's going to be my priority for this first quarter. So I'm going to identify that as my rock, and I'm going to set this up and make sure I'm going to describe the rock. My goal then is to network within my clientele so that by the end of the quarter I have 5 new clients from them. Okay? So what specifically will I achieve? By the end of the quarter I will have 5 new clients. How will I measure completion? That all the clients have signed a purchase agreement or whatever it might be, service agreement. Okay? Is it achievable by me now? Yes, it has to be if I want to stay on track with my year-end goal. Okay? Is it relevant? Yes, I've set a year-end goal to make 20, so this is very in line with where I want to be. What are the key dates and final dates? So I put, March 31st, 2020 is my final date, and then I would outline here some key dates. Okay, so maybe in the month of January, I'm going to spend some time really reviewing my current clientele, highlighting and identifying, the top 20 clients that I have that I feel are very connected within, our region that could really put me in touch with some folks that align with our business model that are going to be quality clients for us. Okay, so I put a date on that, and so on, and work through and set out some key dates for that. So now, when I'm going through each week the rock review, and am I saying, okay, is my rock on track or off track? Well, I can look at the key dates that I've outlined for myself on the rock sheet, and I can be honest and say, yep, I'm on track here, or I'm off track. Okay, and when I'm off track, then does that get put down on the issues list to figure out why? Are there other things that are pulling me away from this priority? And if so, then that's an issue that we need to look at and deal with. Okay? And also in here, list some resources or things that you need. It might be that you want access to another database, or You know, you want a different system in place, or, you know, whatever that might be. And known barriers. Okay, it could be time. Time could be a barrier. So because I know that, I'm gonna say, okay, every Wednesday morning from 7:30 to 9:30, I'm blocking off that time where I'm gonna just work and focus on this. Okay? I'm not gonna check email, I'm not gonna respond. This is gonna be my priority that morning. Okay? So then you look, and this is a tool that we use a lot with our clients, and that we use within the Entrepreneur Fund. Everybody has their rock sheets and has that listed out, because it's so easy to identify a rock and think that you're on track, or think, oh, I'll work on it next week. But if you refer back to this, you really know like where you're at throughout the quarter. Okay, any questions on that? Yeah.
So if you didn't have a deadline, it wouldn't show up in the level 10 meeting. But if there was a week where you're supposed to hit a deadline, would that be listed there or covered?
Mhm. So in the agenda, everybody's rocks are listed out there. Yeah, and then they're responsible for bringing their own rock sheet, and they may say, yeah, by this date, I'm supposed to have this step done, and I'm not done, type of thing. Is kind of how we work it. Yep. Any other questions? Good. So these are 3 tools that you could definitely take and start implementing, you know, within if solopreneur ideas, or, you know, even if you haven't started or have an idea for your business, it's a place to kind of start thinking. Even if you're having meetings by yourself, it's still taking that time to sit down, and you have that, you know, still that every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, you're sitting down with that notebook paper, and you might have to be accountable to yourself, but you're still working through that agenda and saying, okay, what do my numbers look like? Have I made those sales calls that I want to? Have I connected with these people? Am I working on my priority, my rock for the quarter? That type of thing. Okay?
Can you, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Excuse me. Can you say a little bit more about if you're using EOS to work with your startup clients?
Mm-hmm.
Are you modifying this at all?
Yeah, so a lot of time, what we're seeing is that our other business advisors at the Entrepreneur Fund use a lot of these tools to help them implement and kind of stay on track. And then once they kind of reach that point where they're, you know, ready to kind of take that bigger dive into EOS and just need that one-on-one facilitator, then they get moved over to myself. Because this is a fee for service for EOS facilitation, but we do have business advisors that, you know, like Sandy, you know, any time spent with her, there's no cost. And so, yeah, there are tools that they definitely use to implement or hold that accountability. It's like, okay, this next quarter, you might work with Sandy and set up some rocks or some priorities, and then you might meet again in 90 days and say, okay, how'd you do? You know, and so she can be that accountability person. Yeah.
So you might use individual tools like the VTO or what
Yep.
have you.
Yep.
But then as they maybe approach $1 million in sales, or they have
Yeah.
a bigger team,
Yep.
then the whole toolbox comes out.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And then you're more on the regular process, and we'll jump into the formal EOS process, because you're spending full days together with your leadership team and through that process. Yeah, great question. Good. So what we're seeing and why EOS is that, you know, companies, they do have a stronger vision with the VTO. Healthy leadership teams, we do a lot of work together with cohesive teams, developing that, you know, that you have that culture, your core values, you know, keeping people in line with that. You know, that traction, we're aiming for 80% on the key components, so those 6 key components that in the EOS model. You know, businesses might be really strong on 3, but really weak on the other 3. We work on getting so that every component on the EOS model, businesses are operating at an 80% or higher level within that. Running the company becomes more peaceful and profitable. You have a time that's designated to handle issues. So everybody gets used to that within your culture. So if they have an issue throughout the week, they know where to put it on the issues list. Okay, so if it's on your weekly agenda meeting, that might be on Google Documents or wherever that might be, they can go on there and type their issue on there. Okay, and most clients that we're working with see a revenue increases on an average of 18%. So that's the why. And I want to look at the process of it. So coming back to your question here, this is really the formal EOS process. And so it starts off with the 90-minute meeting, and that's really time where myself and the leadership team of a company that's maybe exploring EOS spends that time together, really getting to know each other. Is this a good fit? You know, you're investing money. You want to see that return on investment. You want to make sure that it's a good fit and both ways, and that the company is really ready to engage. We talk about the tools and the process. Now, each one of these boxes on here is really a full day. So those sessions are like 6 to 8 hours. We're coming together and working through it as a leadership team. In the focus day, we talk about hitting the ceiling, what to do. It's inevitable. You're always going to hit ceilings, and that happens as an organization as a whole. It can happen as in departments, or it can happen on a personal level as well. What do you do? That's an uncomfortable place to be when you've hit that ceiling. You're kind of spinning. That first day together, we talked about, we developed the accountability chart. What's the structure of your business right now? Is it the right structure to get you to where you want to be by the end of the year? If not, what changes need to be made? Are there people issues already within that? We set rocks right away in that first meeting together. We talk about the meeting pulse, the level 10 meetings. The level 10 meetings happen. They start off by just the leadership team, and then as we work through the EOS process, then we engage other departments and things into the meetings as well. And we take that first crack at the scorecard. Like you mentioned, the scorecard is ever evolving, and so each meeting that we're coming to, we're taking a look at the scorecard and is it relevant to what you need. And then the vision building days. So we're looking at core values, answering those 8 questions on the BTO, setting new rocks. We're always, working through issues together. And then you move into quarterly sessions after that. So then every 90 days we're coming together for a full 6 to 8 hours, looking at your focus, your team health, quarterly rocks, issue solving, reviewing accountability charts. There's other tools within the toolbox of EOS that we look at as well and pull out. Each client has different needs at different times, and so we pull out different tools as to what people are focusing or dealing with at the time. So, yeah.
So this is happening at the leadership level?
Yes.
Does it mimic that at, say, like a department level?
Yes. So first, our first goal is to get the whole leadership team understanding and knowledgeable and feeling comfortable with how to operate in the system, and then we call it the EOS rollout. Then it rolls out to the different departments, and so each person, if they are heading a department, then they're on charge of leading that weekly meeting with their department. They're in charge of helping and identify rocks for each employee, the scorecard, all of that stuff. Yep. But typically, when I'm working with them coming together, then it's just the leadership for the full day, making sure we're all aligned again, and then they go back and roll it out to their teams. Yep, good. Any other questions? Okay, so I know we're coming up on time here. So, my card is in there. Oh, I'll leave you with this quote from Patrick Lencioni. If you could get all the people in your organization rowing in the same direction, you could dominate any industry in any market against any competitor at any time. Because it's so rare to have that cohesiveness. So, Mike Cordy is up in our Grand Rapids office. He is our director of business development. He does a lot of outreach and things for EOS. And I am the EOS implementer. My business card is in the folder here. please reach out if you have any specific or individual questions about EOS. If you want a copy of the book Traction that really outlines EOS, please let me know. We'll make sure that you get a book, get the Traction. Also in here, next week, next Tuesday, up in Brainerd at Jack Pine, we're having a networking event, and we'll be exploring more EOS stuff there as well. So if you would like to attend, there'll be free hors d'oeuvres and drinks and networking there. So it'll be a fun event up at Jack Pine next Tuesday from 4 to 6. So shoot me an email if you are interested in attending that event as well. Okay? Any other questions? Yeah. Oh, sorry.
You kind of skipped over this in the visioning process, but one piece I really like,
Yeah.
that I think is fairly simple and yet important, are those 3 uniques. And as I recall from the book, they use Southwest Air as an example where, okay, they're low cost, they're on time, and they're friendly. And you can compare that to Spirit Airlines, which is low cost, but
Right.
it's not friendly, and
Right.
it's not on time.
Right.
And it makes, so, and you might quite often, I think according to the book, overlap with 2,
Right.
but they should be 3 things that nobody has, all 3, and I just thought that was a really important issue.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, and that, you know,
That's it.
talking about in the marketing,
Right.
piece, really identifying and talking about your uniques, and are you getting those out to the world, and why you're unique. Yeah, yep, absolutely.
How long have you been doing this EOS?
At the Entrepreneur Fund, we have been running on it for over 3 years, and I personally have been then facilitating other organizations for 2 years, a little over 2 years.
So you've been actively promoting this to
Yep.
startups or to companies?
Yeah. Yep.
Is there quite a few companies then you've implemented this in?
Yeah, so we have worked, I don't know the total number offhand, but there's probably been close to 30 or 40 businesses that we've worked through. Now, our goal is to, you know, a lot of times people will engage with us for like a year or 2 years. Our goal is that they're, you know, get to a place where they can be that self-implementing type, you know. We at the Entrepreneur Fund have still hired, like I said, that outside implementer to come in because we see that value. But, you know, a lot of times, and that's one thing we're exploring right now, it's like, okay, do we have our implementer come in for 1 quarterly and 1 annual now? And we take care of the other 2 quarterlies, sessions, that type of thing. So it's flexible that way to really, because some businesses they're able to self-implement or to run, they, you know, are able to run on this quicker than.
What's the average size company that this fits real well for?
Typically, yeah.
Don't tell me 1 to 100,000.
No, typically when they are looking to hire someone, their revenues are about $1 million plus a year and have a leadership team of at least 2, but then they have at least like 10 employees or so.
And if I were to hire you, you would be the implementer?
Yes. Yep.
So then the next question begs, what is the cost?
So we set it up per session, and so at the Entrepreneur Fund we charge $4,000 per session, and so like I said, as we're looking at, you know, usually you have about 5 sessions a year. Okay, so and implementers typically charge. You have to pay. You pay at the end of the session. At the Entrepreneur Fund, we're be a little more flexible. We can set up on different, you know, monthly payment plans or break it up for you, that sort of thing. But our guarantee as the Entrepreneur Fund is that if you don't find value after the full day meeting together, then you don't pay. So, you know, we're not in the business to take people's money. We're in the business to help create thriving businesses. So that's our goal and mission.
Thank you.
And have you realized the 18% average increase in revenues on the companies that you have been working with?
Yep.
What's
Yep.
the highest increase?
The highest? Oh gosh. I think the highest that I've worked with has been probably a 25% growth. And that's really exploring, you know, are they adding a new product line or, you know, that sort of thing. Yep. Or they have this opportunity that, you know, to acquire a business or that sort of thing.
Kind of leading off that question, so the entrepreneur fund has been doing it for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've talked to Mike, and Mike says you're crazy busy,
Yeah.
so I mean, you can see, you've seen.
Yeah. Yep. So when we started back in 2016, I think the end of the year in 2016, maybe closed. I think we were at 5 or 6 million of loans that we closed. In 2018, we closed over 10 million loans, and now we're on pace. We could close up to 14 million, but we're running into that problem of capital. Yeah. So it's there, and that's why I said we've been hiring so many people as well, you know, within this past year just to fill that need, adding, you know, additional loan officers, business consultants, advisors, all of those pieces. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, so your EOS, is it Resolvents or not?
Resolvents?
Yeah, that's your EOS that you're using.
Right.
So it's them or a different EOS company?
It is. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Well, Resolvents is one of the EOS people down in the North Florida.
Oh, okay.
It's a different one.
Different. Nope.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Sorry. Nope.
Because they're real thinking.
Oh, gotcha.
So I didn't
Okay.
know.
Sorry.
Okay,
No.
I
Nope.
don't know what it sounds like.
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Good question. All right. Good. Any other questions or anything? Yeah. Good. So one thing to note though, what we do, you know, with this fee for service is that we do charge comes into the entrepreneur fund. Anything that's, you know, we just want to break even. And once that happens, then the additional money gets put into our loan fund, which get loaned, you know, is loaned back out to entrepreneurs. So it's really, you know, you're making that investment in your company, but you're also then investing as that money is going out to other entrepreneurs. So, yeah, kind of neat tidbit there. Good, awesome. Please reach out to me. Like I said, as a resource, we are here to provide that support. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So now we come to the exciting part. Not that Shasta wasn't excited, because it was. But we get to learn more about each other. And normally we go around the room, but since Jordan gave up the power of control and gave me the power of attorney, I get to make the rules. And Brad, I heard that you were going to be leaving us probably shortly because you got a long ride back, so I'm going to pick on you first. And all we want you to do is take just a minute. We don't set any egg timers here, but tell us about who you are, company you're with, and why you're here, and what brought you here. And according to this, I think it says Jordan with a question mark. I don't think we were certain if it was Jordan that brought him here or exactly what it was. So Brad?
All right, I appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah, I do have to leave pretty quick. Well, Jordan is the one, probably started with an email when we talked about it. And this is only my second meeting, but I really do enjoy it. So what brings me here is, and what I am, is I'm all about being of help to businesses. And if what we do fits, great. If what we don't do, that's great too. And I try to help and steer the businesses to Linda, to wherever it might be. And so that's important to me. And the owners of our company let me do that, so I love it. So what we do, companies sometimes, and many times, they have the capacity, capability, and systems to grow, but they lack the working capital. And that becomes a big hindrance, not having that working capital to grow. Bank is where they need to get the working capital. Sometimes that doesn't work out. Now, in my case, I own businesses, and many years ago, and it didn't work out. The bank wouldn't loan the money because I was a risk. I didn't have the capital. They knew I was smart enough and I could do it, and I had the plan, but I didn't have the capital. So of course I got really irritated, say that. But I understand fully, obviously, after 6 years in the financial side of the business. And that makes a lot of sense. But what we are, and the best use as an example, I got a call from a bank 4 weeks ago. They have a client who has a customer that wants that client to grow. The client does not have capital. All my problem, my own businesses. And so we got a call. We all sat down and we met, and we figured, yeah, let's do it. So what we do is very simply fund receivables next day, and that is a form of working capital, because that takes the worry of, out of when you're going to get the money. You can pay the vendors right away. Your credit's open. Now that customer I talked about who wants to continue their order, who is irritated at the client because they can't grow, can now order as much as they want. And they can just keep on doing the orders. Now, that has to stop at some point because the customer's going to be happy. And they're at a level. So at that point, they need to get done with us. We are not the long-term solution, and the bank is the long-term solution. And so that's where we're going to go back to with this customer. So we figured it'd be about a year. And we sat down, we all talked about it, and said, yeah, let's shoot for that plan. As you say, Sasha, put the rocks in or whatever, plan to get that done. I'll stop there. I hope that was enough, but that's what I'm about and kind of what we do. And if I can help at any time, and I've said this before, point to equity investors, point to other financial ideas, I'd love to do it. And that's what I do. So, thank you. Brad, part of this funding.
Thanks, Brad. So the next person I'm going to pick on is Derek. And I'm picking on you for a reason, because you're tonight's sponsor of dinner at Unity Bank, and I was remiss at the beginning to mention that, so I apologize for that. But Unity Bank picked up the sponsorship for tonight's dinner, so be sure to grab yourself a treat on your way out the door a little later. Brad? Or I'm sorry, Derek? Brad's over here.
I'm Derek Zeiler. I'm with Unity Bank. I've got about 19 years in banking, and when I was at U.S. Bank, I sat on a number of boards in northwest Wisconsin with the Regional Planning Commission over there. And we did revolving loan funds, and we maintained an enterprise network over there. So as I've transitioned over to Unity Bank, this is just something that I like to do, and I like to come to these meetings and learn and pass the information on to my clients and anyone that calls looking for assistance, such as Natalie. I refer them to come and learn what they can.
Thank you, Derek.
Short and sweet.
Next person I'm going to pick on, I can do this, but she'll get back at me probably on Friday, and that's our board chairman here at UCE. That's Linda Lytle, who also was a business success story here a couple of months ago. If you missed that, YouTube it. It's on YouTube. You can watch Linda and her presentation. Not only that, but she did, we have here at East Central, we have a piece that we call Power Hour. And it's all about different facets of our organization that other employees might not know about. Our accounting department might not know about our business accounts department. Linda is the board chair, talked about governance. So, and she did an excellent job. She's a great speaker. So, Linda?
Thanks. I'm Linda Lytle, and I own a company called Raven Performance Group. What I do is I build and facilitate executive roundtables for business owners and entrepreneurs. And I've been doing it in central Minnesota now for off time, I'm the board chair of East Central Energy, which is a big damn job.
Hey,
I'm finding.
just think about it, she's the big boss over me, that's a big job in itself.
That's right, Mark, that's right. Thank you.
So, and I'll pick on one of the founding fathers here, who also was instrumental, Doyle.
I'm Doyle Jelson with Neighborhood National Bank, but why I participate in this one is pretty high on economic development, so representing the GPS 4593 group, okay, and wanting to create opportunities for entrepreneurs and individuals, and was happy to be part of with ECE and region to develop this program. And my standing thing is, this gets out by people talking. I mean, I saw some things on Facebook, but that personal invite